Okay. Hi, Don. How are you?
Hey, how you doing, Sam? It's good to see you.
Doing well. Thank you. So we put out the questions for your Instagram and your Facebook, having people ask some questions to you since everything's going on with the coronavirus. We're all stuck at home. So I think what you did was great, having interview questions and then doing this as a little video chat so that people get to see what you're doing and learn a little bit more about you. So thank you for being here.
Thank you, Sam. Thanks for making it happen.
My pleasure. So I'll just start with the first question, the quick one that someone asked, which was just, how are you doing? That's like a good, easy one to start with. So.
I'm doing fine. To me, I just see this as one of those big, big world catastrophes that you just have to deal with it. We do what the news tells us to do, and I'm doing everything like that. I'm staying isolated. I'm doing all that. Mm-hmm. And it's given me a lot of opportunities I wouldn't have had otherwise. I'm doing online workouts. I'm riding my mountain bike more, and I'm just actually talking to a lot of relatives I haven't talked to in a long time. So I'm just making the best of it in a bad situation, a terrible situation.
Yeah. That's great. I see that a lot, actually. People all over are having video chats with extended family members from everywhere. So it's nice that you get to do that because your family is kind of all over the place too, right?
They are. They're up in New England, where you just came from. And actually, 3 little babies were just born in my family this week, in the last 2 weeks. So it's nice to video them and seeing the little babies and the parents and all my relatives. And I have an older relative in a nursing home, so I'm worried about him. I haven't talked to him in a long time, so it's good talking with everybody in the family.
Congratulations on all the babies. That's great. And you get to see them. Sorry?
3 of them in 2 weeks.
Wow. How with the hospitals and everything?
I seem more worried about it than the mothers do. They say, yeah, we're fine. We're all fine. But I stayed glued to the news, too. So.
Okay. Yeah. You've been watching the news?
Oh, nonstop. Yeah.
How is that making you feel about everything?
Actually, since 9/11, I've wanted to watch the news. I'm not paranoid. I'm not like, I don't get bored. I don't get lonely. I don't get sad or depressed or aggravated with the news. I like knowing what's going on. And I know you can't trust a lot of it, but I know enough what to watch and what not to watch and who to listen to and what not to listen to. And I just like to know what's going on. I feel much better knowing what's going on than being in the dark. Mm-hmm. So I enjoy the news and keeping up with what's going on in the world and the country.
Yeah, that's a fair point. As long as you can differentiate all these news outlets and just get at least the facts to help you out, that's a good thing.
I know this isn't what we're here to talk about. The only thing that frustrates me is when people take something like this and they politicize it. Mm-hmm. I think if you just take the politics out of it all, and that's what I do in my own mind, take the politics out and try to get the facts from what's going on.
Well, that's really good advice for anyone who is watching the news, is to not listen to the politic part and just try and get yourself more informed.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, thank you. So our next question is comparable, has to do with the coronavirus. One person asked, what do we do in a time where no one really knows what's going on? And I mean, we just talked about watching the news. What else do you recommend for this time where people are confused and don't really know what is the truth and what's not?
Sam, I really think that a lot of people pray, and I think that's good if that's what they do, and stay informed. And I think it's a good idea for everybody to assume that they could be a carrier already, and do your best not to spread it anywhere. You may be asymptomatic, may never have a symptom, but do your best not to spread it. And, this week we found out that it could be on the bottom of your shoes for 5 days. So when you walk into your house or someone's house, don't wear your shoes.
Yeah.
And plastic and steel and metal, maybe that's on there for a couple of days. Everything, just consider everything contaminated. You're probably wrong, but why not consider everything contaminated? wash your hands, don't touch anything, don't contaminate anybody, and make the best of your time at home. You know, just work out or read. A lot of people, or listen to music, whatever makes you happy. Now you have time to do it. And now you don't have any excuse why not to do it.
And that is you, right? Don't let the excuses get in the way.
No, no.
And now there is no
Actually,
excuse, so go ahead.
I love what's going on right now for me. Like, after we're going to talk today, then I go and I take my computer and I go to my weights, my sit-up bench, my lat machine. I have different exercises around the house, and I'll put on an exercise online program, and I'll learn a whole new routine, and I'll do it. Then I'll pick out another body group, do a whole new routine, and that has just been so much fun. And I'm editing a book for a triathlete, a female triathlete professional, and I find it fascinating. And so I've got the time just to sit back and take days on reading this book and just learning more. And I'm enjoying it, to tell you the truth. I'm worried for everybody, but it's beyond anything I can control. Other than I just don't want to ever do anything to spread it. And if I could talk to any relatives or friends and tell them what I'm learning by staying glued to the news, just don't spread it. You know, that's all we can do.
That's great. You get to be really creative with all your workouts, and I think everyone has the opportunity to do that. So it's good for them. It's not a good situation, but at least they're able to be home, spend time with families, like you said, read books, do anything that makes them happy. I like that.
Yeah, you go out on like I live on the beach, you know, I go out on the beach. I won't see a single person, but I'll look at the animals, the seagulls, the pelicans, the dolphin, and I'll go in the woods, go for a run in the woods or a bike ride. I'll see the deer and the red fox and be around the animals instead of people. It's okay with me.
And the animals are so happy because there aren't that many people around. They get their home back for a little bit. So another question, which actually came from an athlete, had asked you, you know, since you are an athlete and you're in the same situation as all of us, do you have any recommendations for training for athletes who won't be competing anytime soon? Cross training, how they can make the most of their time off. You know, everyone's not really sure when they're back to doing their training and they're competing. So what can you say about that?
Yeah, like of course, as we all know, the Olympics are postponed for a year. They've trained 3 years, up to 4 years to get ready for the Olympic Games, and now it's another year plus, who knows. So yeah, for people training for races, all the races done. But you know, like yesterday I was out riding in the woods, and I was just riding my mountain bike, and there was a woman out there, and she was running a 50K, and they had signs all over. It's an unofficial 50K, and she was running it all by herself. And she had a husband out there supporting her, and she was doing her own 50K race. And go out and do a 5K, do it on your own. You don't have to have a race set up. And go for your, you know, maybe go for a PR. And then go for one in another month from now, try to break that PR. And then you have a whole month to get better than you are today.
Yeah. So micro and macro goals, right? Just keep going, get better and better every day.
And then when everything comes back to normal, then you go to the race, the start of the race, and you're going to be so much better prepared for it. If I could say something, when I was, right after I got out of the SEAL teams, I was a weapons instructor and a tactics instructor all over the world for different government agencies. And we had one shooter who was the second best shot in the world. He was the second fastest shooter in the world. He could sprint down a hill, draw his weapon, shoot 6 steel targets and holster it before the targets fell down. He was that fast. And he had an operation in his forearm, and he wasn't able to shoot for 3 months. And he breaks everything down to the split second. And his name's Ron Avery. And what Ron did, and Ron worked with me on a shooting book I wrote years ago, Ron said, every day I did so much visualization Now, you asked me about racing, but his sport was not racing, but it was shooting competitions. He broke down every step of the draw, of the pivot, of bringing the weapon up, of shooting, acquiring the sights, everything, and he just visualized everything. When he went back to shooting, he was much, much faster than before his operation without any practice. And so we could all do the same if we play tennis, if we're dancers, if we're runners or cyclists or paddlers, whatever we are. Even visualization can make you faster or better. And that's what Ron Avery did. He was the second fastest in the world at the time as a shooter, and without any practice at all for months, just through visualization. So with visualization, plus all the time off we have right now, we could all, I think, get better at what we do than before we had all this time off.
That's incredible. Wow.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome. And that's really great for all of the athletes that are going to be watching you or listening to this, is even if they're sitting at home, you know, not training right now, think about it. Visualize what your training will be or what you need to do.
How to make those turns, you know, how to pivot, whatever the sport is, to break down in fine detail over and over and over. So when you go to do it again, it's there, it's in the subconscious and not just at the conscious level where you have to think of every step. Subconscious and ingrained.
Some great advice. Do you speak about any of this in your books? The visualization aspect?
I do. Yep. I so believe in visualization. You know, the first time I ever tried it was just going through SEAL training, you know, years ago. And I wanted to be a SEAL so badly. I did visualization every day on what this cold swims are going to be like, with the thousands of push-ups and pull-ups and sit-ups and all that was going to be like every day. I visualized it every day. And every single day after training, at SEAL training at Buds, I'd get back to the barracks and think, what a hard day, but it's not as hard as I visualized. I visualized it to be harder. And it wasn't as hard as I thought it would be. Yeah. So it was every day was hard. There wasn't an easy day, but it was never as hard as I visualized it. So you can visualize and make things much, much, much harder than they're going to be. And then you get to the competition or the event, and if it's not as hard, it's a nice surprise.
That's great. That's a good way to do it. You'll be prepared for anything if you think it's harder than it is.
That's right.
So since I asked about your books, do you have any new books that you might be working on and can tell our listeners?
Well, yes, I am working on 2 more books right now. And I finished a book on piracy that's not published yet. And I learned so much about pirates before Christ, pirates in the Muslim community, how big they were in the Muslim communities, pirates in the Chinese communities. And some of the pirates, we all heard about Blackbeard and, you know, Captain Morgan and all those. But the toughest pirate, the most effective pirate, and the richest pirate in all the world was a Chinese woman. And it got me to thinking about women warriors. Then I started thinking, you know, the Soviets, they trained a lot of sniper women. And these Soviet-trained snipers, the females, they were brutal. And we have female fighter pilots. And then I started thinking more about women warriors. So I'm doing a book now on women warriors. And I'm finding that fascinating. There were so many brutal, tough, effective, well-respected warriors who were women that not many people know about. So I'm thinking about that, and I'm talking with publishers on that right now. And then I'm also interested in assassins. Not just assassins, not people who kill like John Lennon, people like that, but political assassins. And what makes political assassins do what they do. So, and it's kind of a theme from the pirates to women warriors to assassins. So there's a new theme I'm thinking about now with writing books. Wow. It's just a little bit more than SEAL story or survival or shooting or anything like that. It's broader. And to me, I think it might be more interesting for more people. I'm learning so much doing amazing.
It. I'm sure it's fun to learn something new.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah.
Well, I will be the first person to buy those books because they sound awesome.
You'll be the
Well,
first person who gets my gift.
Oh, thank you. Well, I've already read your others and I love them. So I'm sure these will be nothing but as good as they are. So another question that we have is, has there ever been a mission that you were on where you were truly scared?
Yeah, there have been. There were a number of times when I was really, truly scared. But not to the point of where the frightening feeling of it or the scare part of it prevented me or wanted me to second guess what I was doing. I always felt it was the right thing to do and I was excited about it. But there was fear back there too, which was way secondary to wanting to finish and be successful in what we were doing. Yeah,
So
without
how
going
do
in
you
detail
deal
on
with
what the
this?
mission.
Right. I guess you're not allowed.
I can tell you the one I'm thinking about right now is we were in this country I can't talk about, but as in Central South America, and as with two other guys in the military, and one of the guys got caught doing what he was doing, and he ran and he ran and ran, and I told him I'd run with him to try to help him get away, and we ran through these streets, and the makeshift police were on the street shooting at us and yelling to us to stop. And so we ran through people's homes. The mothers would be cooking. We ran in the backyard. I remember there were clotheslines and chickens and kids. Ran over the fence, jumped through the yards. We're running as hard as we go, both of us. We're both athletes. We're both good runners. And finally, we're running down a dirt road. It seemed like the whole community was after us. The third guy, we didn't know where he was. And I said, hey, here's a little pub. Let's just run into here. Let's go sit down in there and try to relax and let things cool down. We ran into this place where it was so hot and sweaty. And the bartender looked at us. It was like a little old Western town. We sat at the bar and we're huffing and puffing. And behind me, in my right-hand corner, there were like some Latin American guys back there. And the bartender looked at us. We asked for water and everything stopped. And then some people came at the doorway, and I said, let's get up, stand up. We're going to run out that door in front of us. When we went to stand up, the three guys behind us smashed us against the bar. They took our arms, they chicken wired us to the point we thought we lost our hands and our feet. And they lifted us up, and the guys at the door, I think two or three of them, the three at the table, the bartender, there were six of them on the two of us. And they just, we didn't get anything. We just got tied to the point of our hands were thick purple because the circulation was being cut off. And it was very, very hot. And they lifted us up and put us in the back of a little pickup, just a flat bed in the back. And our skin was like sizzling. It was so hot. And they drove for quite a while through checkpoints and everything. So they were somewhat official, I guess. Or they had permission to get us through these checkpoints. And it brought us to this makeshift little prison and put us in a cell, and the third person was there already. And we didn't think we were going to get out of that one. But we never gave up. We had different ways to deal with it. One of the guys prayed, and the other guy, he actually had quite a few tears. And I just exercised, and we all had ways to deal with it. And there was a cell across from ours, and all I could see were black faces and eyes, and they were starving little skinny men and boys. And we had a bucket in our cell with a lot of dead flies in it. It looked like black oil. And this large transvestite man or woman, a tall person that looked like a woman with a big Adam's apple, came in our cell and scooped up that black stuff with the flies in it and asked us if we wanted some. We said, of course, no way. And she put it to the cell next door, and all those kids and men were drinking it as fast as they could. There, I was thinking, this is really, really bad. But by not giving up, and here I'm here all these years later, I'm fine. I don't know if I'm fine, but I'm here.
That's something straight out of a movie. Wow.
Yeah. And
You can
then
picture
they
it.
just robbed us everything we had, and they let us go after 2 days, and they just dropped us off in the desert.
And then you had to find your way back.
Yeah, which wasn't that hard.
No, I'm sure your training prepares you for at least finding your way back, huh?
Yeah,
Wow.
on the way home.
Wow. Yeah, always. That's I would be scared. I don't that is a
But
crazy
you could be
story.
afraid, but by not giving up and keep going forward,
Yeah.
and just knowing you're gonna get out, that's how we thought.
Hmm.
We were scared, but we didn't. We thought we would eventually be okay.
You thought that? That's incredible. To keep that
It's,
mentality, that strength,
that's
that
what it
mental
is.
strength.
And
Hmm.
in the military and SEAL teams, we have this thing called combat mindset.
Hmm.
Combat mindset, basically it says, I'm not going to be killed. I might get shot, but I won't be killed. If I'm shot, I'll get good treatment. If I'm shot and I get good treatment, the treatment will make me better. You always think the positive side, even if something bad happens.
Hmm.
And so having that mentality has helped me out a lot of times where, boy, everything's looking pretty grim right now. But if you give up, I probably would have probably gotten through one of those incidences, not all of them.
Hmm.
So I'm happy to have developed a powerful mindset. And people not in the military, they wouldn't use the word combat mindset, but I think anybody can create a powerful mindset where you're going to win. If you just keep going forward and not give up, you're going to win. You're going to beat the situation.
Right.
Because so many people have it so much harder than we'll ever have in our lives, even with this coronavirus. I mean, look what happened in Nazi Germany, and people like Papillon, who was put in, those prisoner war camps, and he was, in confinement for so many years. He never ever gave up, and he jumped off a cliff. He made this thing of coconuts and swam to shore after his whole adult life he was in prison. But he never gave up. And there's so much story after story after story. People who have it way worse than anything I've ever seen, for certain. And by just having that mindset, you're going to win. You're going to win.
Yeah. Your mindset's inspiring. I hope more people start to feel that way. I mean, your life would probably be a little bit happier and you can get further along as well.
Yeah, this what we're going through. I mean, it's just one of those things that happens in this world every now and then, It's just deal with it.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So another question, I love this question actually. What is one piece of advice you would give a young person who wants to follow in your footsteps of becoming a Navy SEAL?
Well, one thing I would say is don't follow in the footsteps I had as a younger person when I didn't pay attention in school. I would say to that person, pay attention in school. It's not just for fun. It's really you're there to learn. And do your best in school and in sports too. I didn't do that as a younger person, but I would definitely do that. But you know what I've done, Sam? Over the years, I've got that question a lot of times, and I've always tried to figure out the best way to explain what I would give for advice to a younger person. And I give it all the time, but now I've got it narrowed down to 4 simple line items, basically. And it worked for me, and I did it, and I would advise this to anybody. As every single day, wake up and do something to make you stronger. That could be in the weight room, it could be going CrossFit, it could be doing body weight workouts, it could be anything. You just figure it out. Don't expect someone to hand that to you on a silver platter, but just every day, go out and do something that makes you stronger than the day before. Number 1. Number 2, every day do something to make you faster. Do sprints, maybe do that 120 sit-ups in less than 2 minutes or whatever it is. But every day do something to make you faster. Whatever it is, you figure it out. They should have a plan. They can't expect somebody to give them the whole workout. Okay, this will make you a champion athlete, or this will make you a SEAL. But then every day, do something to make you smarter in what you want to do. So if you want to become every day, learn what the SEALs have done, from the inception of the SEAL teams back in the 40s in Virginia Beach down the road here. How did SEALs start out? What did they do in World War II? What did they do in Vietnam? What are they doing now? What does Delta Force do? And what's the special operations community doing? How do you train? Maybe I can be a really good weapons guy before going to training. Why don't I learn weapons? Why don't I can go take a diving course. I'll become an open water diver. Do all that, and every day do something smarter in your whatever it is you're going to be. And most importantly is every day do something good for somebody. And that could be helping your mother doing something, helping your girlfriend, helping your neighbor, helping somebody stranded on the road. But every day do something good for somebody, because at the end of it all, a good SEAL is a good teammate. And if you start this mentality, I firmly believe, if you start at 12 or 11 years, 13 years old, by the time you go to selection, you'll be the fastest, smartest, strongest person there. And most importantly, you'll be the best teammate anybody could have. So my advice would be those four things: stronger every day, faster every day, smarter every day, and do something good for everybody, somebody every day. That's the best advice I could come up with for anybody.
Well, thank you. That's great advice.
No.
Let's see. What else do we have here? Another question I have is, do you have any adventures planned for when all of this is over and you're allowed to leave the house and live a normal life again?
Yes. Behind me here, actually, right here, there is a map of 54 mountains in Colorado. They're called the 14,000 footers. There's 54 of them. And I've only done 20 of them where these pins are. So my goal is to hike up the rest of them and run down. So I have 34 of those to do. And I'm still trying to get to 60 miles an hour on my bicycle. So I have a ways to go on that. I'm at 52.3 miles an hour. You just need perfect conditions. I'll train 1,000 miles and I'll get 1/10 of a mile faster, or 2/10 of a mile faster.
Yeah.
And you just, so it's nice because it's something to work toward. It makes me do more lunges and more leg work in the house, but you have to have a goal. And if you have that goal, that as a goal, you got to keep your legs strong. And then when I start training for this again this spring, you know, as soon as I can leave my house again, I'll be able to go back out and train on the training roads that I train on.
Yeah.
So those are the two big things keeping me going. Fitness-wise is the two goals.
Well, 52 is not a ways to go. You're pretty dang close. I mean, think about what other people do. That's amazing.
You know, Sam, you and I spoke a little while ago, and I was telling you and Patrick something, and I can say it now. And you really have to be grateful for what you have in life, because this is March, but a couple months ago, I was under the impression, and luckily it was a wrong diagnosis, that I was injured on Everest a couple of years ago, and that there's a chance that I have a lung condition that was fatal, and that I had 1.5 years to live. And when I saw all the stats on it and all the symptoms and the signs, I was thinking, yeah, I have all that. It's a type of pulmonary fibrosis. And then when I got to the bottom of it all, when it said 3 to 5 year life expectancy and no cure, it sent me back. I was thinking, boy, you know, this means I was on Everest 3 years ago. I, at the most, have 1.5 years to live. And I was thinking, I have my daughter, I have my stepdaughter, I have family members. I didn't tell anybody, but I was thinking, how am I going to do this? But you know what I was so happy about? I was so happy. You know, I walked around the house a couple of days like, oh my God, I got to get my stuff in order and everything, because this is it. This could be it. But what I started thinking about is what I want to do now. I've learned a lot in life. We all should by the time of my age, but I learned a lot in life. And what I want to do is help as many people as I can before my final days. And then I got 2 other pulmonary doctors saying, nope, that is not what you have. So I'm very, very happy and grateful for everything. And this coronavirus, you know, I'm just going to deal with it. But, you know, you don't know. It could happen to any of us at any time. And so I think we should just be very, very grateful for what we have and help people when you can, and try to help people as often as you can. And you have a nice day like this, go out and exercise, or go out and enjoy the beach or the mountains or the woods. And don't just take it all as bad news, because there's a lot of good that can come from things like this.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. Well, thank goodness that you are okay. We're happy that we're still going to have you for longer than 3 to 5 years. That's scary. So thank you for sharing with everyone, Don. Do you have anything that you would like to say to anyone, advice or just a little goodbye or something for our listeners?
Sam, this is for you and Pat. It's really, really been a real pleasure working with you and getting to know you like I do. I look forward to all we're doing in the future. And I love what you're doing. We'll just send good messages out to people and do what we can in our own little world and our own little ways to help others. And I'm happy about that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Don. I'm so glad that we made it work and we're able to talk today. And
thank you to you.
It's my pleasure. And we will talk with you soon, okay?
Thank you so much, Sam.
You're welcome. Have a good one. Bye.